Welcome, friends. It is Sunday morning, so we're going to do another in our series of pre-World War II Depression-era recipes from one of these old cookbooks. This is my favorite recipe, courtesy of the Stainer Sun, and Julie's grandmother picked this up in March of 1938. So we are going to do a full-on Depression-era recipe. We are going to make chop suey. Start of this one is pretty straightforward. We melt some butter in a cast iron frying pan and then dump in some chopped onions. And we just want to fry those off to soften them and give them a little bit of color. And I hear you, this is not Chinese chop suey. This is an American chop suey. It's a dish that's very prominent in sort of the Northeast in Maine and so on and so forth. Crosses over into southern Ontario, where we're based, and this is from Stainer, southern Ontario. And it's a mix of ground beef, onion, elbow, macaroni, and tomatoes. This one includes rice, which is a little bit different than any chop suey I've ever had, and also breadcrumbs, because it's going to get baked in the oven. This is also a distant cousin to American goulash, which is sort of the same thing in the Midwestern states like Minnesota. And we also do a recipe on our channel for a chili mac, which is fairly closely related to this as well. So those onions have got some nice color. They're almost ready to go. Next in is some ground beef. And in keeping with Depression era pricing, we got the discount ground beef. So that goes into the frying pan. And we'll just break that up and fry it off. Now there are two chop suey recipes in this recipe book. The other one doesn't have tomatoes and it doesn't have breadcrumbs. And interestingly enough, it asks for 10 cents of hamburger meat. I have done searches through old newspapers trying to find out what 10 cents of hamburger meat in 1938 was. And the closest I can come is, I think it's about a pound of hamburger was 10 cents. Some of the prices I had were in the sort of 12 to 15 cent range. I had one from the Toronto Star from 1938 that was 35 cents a pound. So it was all over the map. I have no clue. So I chose the one that gave an actual amount. I'm going to say this has browned up nicely. So next in is the rice. And I'm pretty sure that I have chosen the incorrect frying pan for this. I'm using one of my grandmother's cast iron pans. And I don't think it's big enough. So the rice goes in, sort of mix that around. In goes the macaroni. And then it asks for canned tomatoes. And this led to a bit of discussion in our family about what it meant by canned tomatoes. Both for Julie and I, our grandmothers and our great-grandmothers and our mothers, canned tomatoes every summer. We had giant gardens, we canned tomatoes for the winter, and we made two different kinds of canned tomatoes. And it's interesting because our families are from different parts of the province, yet we did exactly the same thing. We made chili sauce and canned that down, and then we canned stewed tomatoes. And so this is tomatoes with onion, celery, salt, and pepper. So there's other flavors in there other than just tomato. And we're pretty sure that that's what they're asking for because there's no other flavor in this dish save for the salt and pepper that I'm about to put in. There's no herbs, there's no spices, and I think that's fairly indicative of, I would say that's fairly indicative of our family backgrounds of early English settlers in Canada. My family, my mother's family arrived here in the 1700s, and Julie's family arrived sort of late 1700s, early 1800s. And there's a common theme between our family cooking, in that our grandmothers made very sort of plain food, very plain food on my mother's side. So, following the instructions, we put it into this dish. Now, I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to mix this together really nicely in the frying pan, but I think I'm going to have much better luck mixing it in the dish that goes in the oven. So I think I've got this mixed up pretty nicely. Just smooth out the top. Next on are breadcrumbs. Pretty sure I'm using the wrong breadcrumbs. 1930s, someone cooking on a farm would have stale bread that they have made their own breadcrumbs. And they might not have been ground as fine as this, but I'll put those on anyway. And just like every other recipe we've encountered so far, it just says to bake for 40 or 45 minutes. Doesn't say what temperature, but at least it tells you to bake it and kind of how long. So I'm going to say 350 degrees and we'll see what happens. All right, so I'm expecting this to be on the bland side, definitely on the bland side. But I'm also expecting it to be really filling. You know what? It's bland. No, I shouldn't say bland. It's plain. It is plain. But there's something very comforting about it. Something really warming and inviting. And to use a term from 2018, it's Moorish. Like it. I know that a lot of people are going to say there's no spice in it. There's no spice, and there is no spice. But yet I still feel like I just want to keep eating it. I'm kind of surprised by that. I am really kind of surprised by that. At the same time, it reminds me of a lot of things I ate as a child, which I think is probably a really big part of the comfort for me. So I really like this chop suey recipe. I was all expecting to say to you, this sucks, try out our chili mac recipe, which is loaded with flavor. And it is. And both of those dishes, that chili mac dish and this chop suey, are related, but this is great on a different level. Yeah, I really like this. So thanks for stopping by. Don't be afraid to give this a try. I think this would be a really inexpensive, easy to make weeknight meal that would work great for lunches for a couple days afterwards. And it's one of those things that you're just going to want to keep eating. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.